and comment period. I don't think we have anybody signed up that I know of. Okay, city manager updates.
Alrighty, I made you guys aware in a weekly report last week. I wanted to update you on the CDBG 2324 grant project. The project itself, the manholes and I-9, that's in the north part of town. The consultant has completed that. Our engineer received the cammering of the manholes. They have made a determination what needs to be done. Murphy and I, we met with them, I think Mindy as well. We met with them this week, our engineer, and we're gonna have them give a presentation to City Council to let them know the remaining process of the CDBG 2324 grant project. That's all I have at this time.
Thank you, Ms. Kimberly. Moving into workshop, item A, budget workshop, review and discuss 2024-2025 proposed budget.
Mayor and Council, based on last tax rate meeting that we had, I believe last week, Council expressed wanting to lower property taxes. And yes, staff did make the recommendation to go with the VAR rate to maximize our property tax revenues. However, after meeting with our city manager, deputy city manager, and myself this morning, we try to figure out a way to obtain a lower tax rate and still meet our requirements. So I will be illustrating the difference between the original proposed, the updated proposed, the proposed tax rate, and the new revenue rate. Keep in mind that these numbers are not actual. These numbers are based on previous historical data. The city may collect more revenue and spend less money. I'm gonna stand up. I don't know if y'all can hear me. Can y'all hear me? Yes. Yes? Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna start off with the original proposed. This was the very first one that we met about and we discussed. This was the very first one. And I used the current tax rate we're in because we didn't have Mr. Brown's numbers yet. So operating revenues at 9.3 million, our operating expenditures at 11.2, and then there was a deficit of almost 1.9 million. Then we transferred from the water, sewer, and the solid waste at 2.2. That makes those revenues over expenditures of 356,895, ending our fund balance at 7.6. So then we're still meeting our 6 months reserve of the 5.6. And then we're over the 2 million. This was the original proposal. Then, if you remember, 2 weeks ago, I believe, I sent you an updated one because our insurance came back lower, correct? So you see that this number decreased by 140,000. I said 174, but that's between all the funds. General fund, water, sewer, solid waste, and Dayton, because we have employees that get paid out of water, sewer, solid, and Dayton. So the portion from general fund was 140,000. So that's why the only difference here is where it decreased, making it our deficit of 1.7. We're still doing the transfer. And then, so we have revenues over expenditures by 497,759. Our ending fund balance at almost 7.8. And then our 6 months reserve, we're still meeting our 6 months reserve. And the way you get this number is you divide it by 2. It's always, keep in mind, every time we go up in expenditures, the more reserve we need to have. Because we have to keep 6 months worth of reserve. So then that makes us over 2.2. And these two numbers add to this number, the 7.8. Okay? Moving on to, this is the proposed tax rate. The 0.6598327, this is what we got back from the tax office. So this is the proposed tax rate. I had to update the numbers, so our revenues changed a little bit. It's still the 9.3. Our expenditures stay the same. And then our deficit is 1.7. We have the transfer, we still have the transfer of the 2.2 with our revenues over expenditures by 473,654. Once again, we have an ending fund balance of 7.769. We have our 6-month reserve of 5.5 million, and then over the 2.2. These two combined equal this number here. Moving on to the no new revenue rate, the 0.6485863. We have operating revenues at 9.1, and our expenditures stay the same. The 11 million, we have a deficit of 1.9. We still doing the transfer from the water sewer and the solid waste, which is a 2.2, making our revenues over expenditures by 321,654. Once again, you add that number with this number is a 7.6 million, and this is what we need to have in reserves based on our operating expenditures. So we have to have a 5.5, and then we have over that is 2 million. These two add up to this number.
Any questions so
Does
far?
anybody have any questions on?
So what it looks like to me, correct me if I'm wrong, is if we adopt the no new revenue rate, we're still gonna have, after expenditures, after everything is done, we're still gonna have 2 million left, correct? Next, after we take in all the reserves out, all of that.
So yes, with a transfer, so it's the revenues over expenditure, we're still over 321,654.
Right.
So this is my beginning fund balance, right?
Mhm.
This is plus that, and so yes, it's a 7.6. So then we have the reserve of 5.5, and then yes, this amount is amount that can be used towards like a rainy day fund, or could be used to transfer to the CIP project, to do cash projects. Anything that comes up can be, because we're meeting our reserve, and this is over our reserve.
So, and maybe I missed this whenever you first started the
Okay.
presentation. I thought you said something, but originally when you came to us, it was 152,000 that we were over.
Yes.
That we were over in expenditures. How do we get from 150 to 300?
No.
Okay.
So this is my original proposed, right? This is the original one. It was always 356. So
Okay.
it was revenues or expenditures 356, 895. It was always like this.
So does that, the 356 now, or the 321 now?
So now it's the 321 because I based it off of this tax rate because we still didn't have numbers from
Right.
Mr. Brown. So now these numbers are going to change because now we have to base it off either the one at the proposed tax rate or if we're going to go with the nominal revenue rate. So this is kind of like, this is something that I had to do to give to y'all to percent so we can keep the budget flowing. But now it changed. So now we're concentrating on these two right here.
So again, I'm concentrating on the no new revenue rate.
Yeah.
The 321, does that, or where was the savings from the insurance? Was that plugged into that? Is that factored
Yes,
into
it's
the
right.
321?
So this was the original, right?
Right.
And then this is the updated. So here, from this amount to this amount, that's where my savings is from the insurance.
Okay.
This was the one that I gave you all 2 weeks ago, and that's where the 140,000 is. I know it's 174,000, but it has to be split between general fund, water, sewer, solid waste, and Dayton. But the portion of the general fund, it was 140,000.
Okay.
So that's where you see the difference. If you do this minus this, it's gonna come up to the 140.82, I believe it's gonna come up to that.
Okay.
So that's where that is.
So again, the 2 million at the no new revenue rate, the over under or the over short estimate of 2 million, is that before or after the 321 comes out of it?
That's the bottom line, isn't it?
Yeah, that's this amount plus this amount, the 321 equals the 7617
Okay.
million. And
Right.
then here, these two numbers add up to this.
Okay,
So this is what we have to have in reserves.
right,
The reserves is, you have to do this number divided by 2 because it's 6 months worth. And so this is what we need to keep in our reserve, right? And this is over our reserve.
Right.
So it's already in there.
okay.
Yeah.
So then, at the end of the day, it's $2 million is what we have for capital projects.
Projected,
Or-
yes.
Yeah, project, or whatever,
Yes, yes,
whatever projects that we want.
yes.
Okay.
And so Leslie, kind of to just piggyback off of that. So the difference between the original proposed, tax rate versus the proposed tax rate, there's about a 22,191 difference, right? And then versus the no new rate, it's about $35,191 difference. Is that is that the difference between the original proposed tax rate versus the proposed tax rate, the 0.6598,327, right?
Yes.
So at the overshort estimate, there's only a difference of, in the positive, 22,191 between the 2,038,460 versus the 2.2561 when I look at the proposed tax rate. And then I do the difference between the no new tax rate versus the original, it's about a $35,000 difference.
You're talking about from this one to this one?
Compared to the last two columns. So the proposed tax rate, which is in purple or blue, whatever that color is.
This one.
Yes, go all the way to the bottom. So that bottom number, 2,225,651 versus the 2 million in the original, 38,460. There's only a difference of $22,000, correct?
Yes.
And then if I compare the original to the no new tax rate, there's only a difference of 35,191, correct? I've done the math. From the 2,073,651 versus the 2,038,460. The last column,
This one?
yes,
From which one?
the very first one, the original. I'm comparing the last two to the original.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, because the more expenditures you have, that's the reason why it's different, because
Mhm.
here we were expensing more money, so it's gonna go, our amount
They
is gonna
removed
go.
the insurance.
I
at that
understand
Yes.
that, yeah, I understand that. So the difference between the 22,191, what goes, where does that money go to versus, if we go to the proposed tax rate versus the original proposed tax rate?
Well, we can't go with this one anymore, because whenever Ricky gave us the numbers, we can only go off of the proposed tax rate or the no new revenue.
Okay,
So-
which is a difference about $13,000 between the two of them, over. The no new tax rate is about $13,000 more than the proposed tax rate, which is 6 we're saving about 13,000 if we decide to go
From
with the no
this
new
one,
tax
you're
rate.
saying this
Yes.
amount, from this amount?
Yeah, we're saving about
Okay.
213, is that?
Yes.
No, not even that much. It's about,
You're talking about the 2,225,000, right?
versus the, yeah. 100 and some $1,000 difference is what we're saying. Mhm. Okay,
52,000 difference.
so that's like that, and that's money that we can put where? Anywhere
The
or?
152?
Mhm.
That's part of the 2,000,000.
That's part of, so that, savings, it was from, remember whenever I presented last week or the week before, I said it would be a difference of 152,000,
Yeah.
that's where that's coming from.
Got it, okay.
The 321,654, what does that not include that was under unbudgeted items?
It doesn't include, the position of the building inspector, it doesn't include the food truck Friday, it doesn't include the position for the mechanic, and then, additional position cost for that mechanic, and then the 2 dispatchers, and then a part-time attendant for the community center.
Does it not include or does it?
It's not included. So, and I know that council, Ms. Tanya, she, asked about that, and I don't recall, but we could go back and add it. I just didn't want to do anything until I get everybody's approval to do it. But originally, Amanda had requested a part-timer, so that's why I was kind of confused on the full-timer. Is there not? Oh, yeah.
So we're requesting an additional position for the community center, part-time. What would that part-time position do? Because, okay, thank you. Is the community center that busy that we need to add an additional position?
I mean, that's for, yes, ma'am.
Yes, at the end of the, on weekends is our biggest, time for flips of event to event. And a large event, I have 3 people at work, so 1 will open, 2 will have to flip, and then the following week, we continue with our regular activities. They have to have 2 days off, and that leaves us with some, downtime where we don't have other than myself or someone coming in and splitting their days up. So, we cannot do big back-to-back flips like we used to since we cut some staff a couple years ago.
Amanda, could we not, like today you had 3 people in the office with you and 1, could you not have scheduled where you didn't have so many people there today?
That's because this week, we're very slow this week. It's not every week that and they have to still get their 40 hours so a week. So it's not all the time that we don't have large events going on. That just happens to be this week.
So rather than add additional position, is it possible to work their schedule where they work a little bit overtime here and there? Have you did a cost analysis of what potentially adding a couple of hours here and there for those particular events in overtime versus adding a part-time position? Have you done a cost analysis what that look like?
No, but they do get overtime as it is now.
Okay. So, for instance, the example that Kimberly gave us today, you had 3 people on the clock where that was pretty much dead weight. You probably could have managed that time for one of the bodies. No?
No,
I see Remy Ray shaking his head
there's no
somewhere.
events this week,
Mm-hmm.
and they're full-time, so they have to get their 40 hours. So there's no events to schedule out this week, so we just had to do cleaning and stuff this week. But there's very few weeks that they don't have flips or cleaning to do. And also this week, our shampoo machine and our hallway machine is broken, so they couldn't be on that also. So that's what they were scheduled to do, but they both went down on us.
Do we have any part-time positions for the community center now?
We do not. We had more positions, but we cut them a couple of years ago when we were cutting budget. And that's what I was asking.
We had a part-time position, and actually we had, 3 or 2, and then you requested that we take it into and make one full-time position.
We froze a full-time position to try to utilize 3 part-timers to spread their time out more on our flips. And it did not really work logistically because they were only allowed to get 27 hours a whole week. And within 2 days, they had that during the flips, so it left us, again, stranded during the week for other events.
Okay.
So we went back to a full-time.
Okay, I'm just thinking when we were doing the budget, my concern in the back of my, as we're talking this thing through, I understand that you may need more help, but I would feel better if Public Works we added more people to Public Works because they're the ones that's actually, I understand that, but if we're gonna spend money in additional positions, we wanna make sure we utilize that money to where it's well spent on what we need. And the first time we did our budget, I think it was very clear that we had a staffing issue with Public Works working at a 50% capacity versus the community center. Not to take anything or slight anything from you. However, Public Works, they keep our city running. The police department keep our city running. So I just want to, take that into consideration when we're considering adding additional positions at the community center or somewhere. Utilize your bodies where they're needed.
So, this budget request form that was just passed out, they're saying that is this for a part-timer? That we're looking at 15,000
Yes,
total?
That's correct.
yes.
So for a full-timer, it would be what, double that?
It would be around 57,000.
I have a problem with part-time.
Yeah, for a full-timer, when we did the math, and it was 57,000 because we have to offer benefits and PRs and all that. But for the part-timer, it's 15,167.
And I guess if we're considering this, I mean, is this part-time position, do you feel like this is gonna be enough?
A part-time, I don't think so, because we've also tried to increase a couple of our events like the Spirit Christmas. We're gonna do 3 days instead of 1 day. That takes 16 hours. The original 1 day is what I spent on that day. So we're asking to do 3 days. So if we're gonna increase events multiple days around here, we're definitely gonna need more staffing. And so a part-timer, again, that's only 27 hours you're looking at, and they can get that in a day and a half around the building.
Okay.
On big flips and cleanups.
Have we considered asking the public for help? Volunteer,
We do get volunteers, we get a large amount of volunteers.
and that's worked fairly well for you, Amanda?
They do, again, they're volunteers, so we ask them to come. Then they say they're coming, but we can't regulate how many hours they spend, or if they show up and say, oh, I can't do tables today, can I just, take the trash out? So it's a hit and miss. We love our volunteers, we do rely on them a lot, but we can't rely on them to schedule events around them. 'Cause they're not.
Let me share something with y'all. When we're talking about an event, the Spirit of Christmas. We're not talking about a day-to-day activity. Whenever there's an event such as this, especially if we look at days, it's no different than a 4th of July celebration or anything else. It's not just the community center staff. We have public works staff, planning, anyone who can lend a hand, the library. We all participate in health. Don't add a position for an event of once a year.
Yes, that was
It
just an
doesn't make
example.
sense.
That was just an example for a full-time.
Amanda,
Yes, ma'am.
when we were having our original budget discussion on this, you had stated that you actually are not scheduling as many events because of the staffing issue.
We used to be able to do back-to-back full ballroom flips, but it's just not feasible on all of the staff time, because you're looking at, a full ballroom has all day, so they leave at midnight. If we have another full ballroom, we have to pick up all the tables, wipe them down, the chairs, shampoo, clean, before we set back up. So you're looking at 3, 4, 5 in the morning for the next event, then who's gonna work it?
So we're actually turning down revenue.
Yes, ma'am, we're not capable of accommodating some of the large flips like we used to. And also back to the volunteers, they're awesome, we love them, we have a lot of them, but certain things they're not allowed to do because of liability issues, safety for the insurance for the city.
So Amanda, have you, did an analysis of what that looked like with all of the events that you currently have on your calendar versus the events that the community center used to host, and can tell us where the difference is?
Yes, ma'am, I've submitted it to Kimberly once before, prior to, I don't have it with me today.
Okay.
But you could handle some of these things back to back if you had a part-time, right?
Some of the events, not all.
It doesn't sound like it.
Depending on how large the events are. That's why I originally was asking for a full-time, but I know it's not in the budget, so we try to settle on a part-time.
So even if we agree to part-time, you're still gonna be short, correct?
On some events, yes, ma'am. It'll help, but it won't solve the.
Your problem, your manpower issue.
Nothing was actually cut out of the budget, right? We're just spending.
No money, that's right, nothing was cut out.
So there is room to cut.
There is room to cut, if you choose to cut, it is room to do so. You just have to make a decision what you would like to cut.
What, I guess this is more a question for Chief. What is, I see here that apparently there was 3 dispatchers requested, and only 2 are listed as, or 2 is listed as unfunded. Is there a reason for that, do you know?
I didn't request 3 dispatchers. I requested 2 officers and 1 dispatcher is what my recommendation was.
Yeah.
We don't need 3 dispatchers.
Okay.
If I had hire 1 dispatcher, then that's gonna give us enough people to have bleed over coverage on the shifts that we need. Where we'll have the busy times of the day, we'll have 2 people in dispatch.
How are we doing, our building inspections now?
We're
Are
not
we just
doing,
trying to augment that?
right, especially right now, this is a conversation I had with, Ms. Vickery because of the fact that we're now, with our 1 inspector out, we having to hire an inspector to come in. So it always seems to happen, or if we have more than what she can handle, we have to call, an inspector to come in. It costs just about $200 an inspection for them to come in to do it. So that is a department that I've been advocating for the longest to get another position in, and we have not been able to do so yet. And that's revenue coming in.
I thought there was a page in this that had the unfunded that you had to roll in
We
there.
have one, do you have
Here.
one? You should have 2.
But I can pull it up.
I did see under the unfunded, there was a Food Truck Friday. What was that for? I thought we had budgeted something for that.
Okay, so what we budgeted, we actually budgeted for the fencing. This is to help, for if, like, Friday night bikes or whatever, for the entertainment portion of it.
Oh, that's okay, so that's the 4,100.
That's correct.
That's it, okay.
This is gonna be super unpopular, but what I'm hearing from citizens is that they would like to see no raises. I understand that we have a carve out. But we're looking at, I don't know, what is that gonna be? That's over $100,000, right?
124.
Minus what's set aside already for the police department?
Mhm.
No, that's what the police department.
Okay,
Yeah.
theirs is what, about 80 of that?
Yeah.
Like,
Mhm.
I am on behalf of the people who are telling me what they think. I'd like to see the numbers on
So
that.
citizens are wanting not to give a pay increase to employees. But do they not realize that we lose employees every year when they find a better paying job just south of us in 2 different cities? Do they want to see a decrease in service because now we don't have enough of employees to assist? Right now, I explained earlier to you, I have 4-man crew that works like when there's sewer leaks, water leaks. So our list keep growing. You know, we get citizens calling them in, we all call them in, they see leaks, and at least continue to grow. I can't, and if they see these citizens in the hole working, they're willing to tell these people that fix their water leaks, their sewer leaks, where they can have water, where they can flush. We don't want to give you a raise, even if you're in the cold, in the hot, down in water. We don't want to give them a raise.
No, Kimberly, I don't think that's the issue. I think the issue is that our citizens wanna see money spent on roads infrastructure. And they are not really willing to give up a whole lot until they can see some stuff. And we've already got some movement.
We do.
Waring looks good. We've got some streets that are looking good.
Right. And those
I
guys
don't
that want to
think it's
get
not-
raises are doing it.
I understand that. I don't think it's enough for our people because they have not seen a whole lot done.
We need more money in order to do
I
more,
think we need to
and
cut
more
money.
employees. I think that no disrespect or just to bounce off what Sarah said, I've talked to citizens as well, and I think we may be talking to various groups of citizens, which that's possible based on how we get out of the community. One of the biggest concerns that I've had from citizens is our roads. I've been told if it's gonna save them, if the city's gonna save $25 or $200 per household, they would rather see that money put in the streets. However, I'm also getting from the citizens that they really appreciate seeing our workers, our public workers out and about. It was extremely hot this summer. They know that when it's rain, when it's a storm, they're out there working. And I think as city council, our biggest assets is our people. And we all know that Public Works is working on a deficit when it comes to bodies. Now, we all agree that we want to see some kind of cuts somewhere. Where that cut is going to come from, I don't have the answer. And if we can cut, what does that cut look like for next year when it comes to the taxpayers? So we want to be very careful where we, I don't want to take from the police department because they keep our city safe. I don't want to take from Public Works because they keep our city running. City staff keeps our city running. So we have to be, very mindful when we consider cuts, what's necessary, what's not necessary. And that's what I'm getting from the taxpayers that I'm speaking with.
Leslie, I have a question. In looking at the budget listing here, comparing your final budget numbers from last year to the final budget numbers from this year on the group insurance, I took the totals of each group and added them up, and I only came up with a difference of $50,446 for the group insurance for all of them together, from last year's final number to this year's final number.
Yeah, what page?
All of them, like
Okay.
all of them together. I added them all up for both columns, and I only saw $50,446 difference.
Which ones did you write?
Group insurance,
Yes, but what?
all of them.
Group insurance, you add them up. You compare them to the,
From the 23-24 numbers to the 24-25 numbers.
23, 24 numbers to the 24, 25, they're gonna change because we have people that select family or they select.
No, that's not my point.
Okay.
My point is, it only shows a $50,000 difference. And with the new insurance that we got, we were told that we were gonna see a savings of $174,000,
Yes,
which I understand part of that is in the broker fees and it's maybe not reflected in that column.
Right.
But I'm looking at this. Because I was looking for a difference reflected with that $174,000 and I'm not finding it.
yes, I did, so that's where it is, the change from year to year is 140. It's 140, and if you look at my numbers at page,
And Leslie, take your time. There's no stress, no worry. We want to know for clarity, so.
yeah, if you look at my numbers at the very bottom, it matches
On which page?
my bottom number, 497, so page 8 out of 20, bottom number is 497, 758. It matches my number here, so I did decrease it. I decreased, this is the original proposed, it did decrease to the 11,089,000. Would you do that? It's the 140.
And that's the difference in insurance?
It's the 174, but I'm breaking. Let me give you.
It's going from the
um,
different side.
Yes. So, you see right here, this is the 110,864, and then this is the 30,000 that we saved for switching brokers. So that's the 140,864 difference, and then it's 24,787 for the water sewer, the solid waste, Dayton, that's the 144,98, and then you add the 30, that's the 174,98.
Okay. How is that reflected in the numbers for each?
For each,
Right, I mean, because I'm looking at the numbers for each department and adding them up, and I don't see that.
Could it be that the proposed at the end under the NNR
the
rate?
proposed
that-
had the 10%.
Right, but could that be the new employees that are coming on
Yes,
board?
the new,
And they're,
I think that, let me see. Remember maybe that comparison? Yeah. I'll have to go back and look at it, Tanya, but I know that I did the numbers. I just don't know where I had it. Cause it matches my numbers on here, and so I need to go back and see. And maybe I'm not understanding your question.
I understand what she said, which is what she's doing. But you know, she's doing group insurance policy right here. Looking at it from one line item to this other, from 23, 24 to 24, 25. And if you look here, group insurance, it says 18.
Yeah, but that's because fire is gonna be
I'm
18.
just using that as an example just to show you what she's getting. If you go here, see, that's point. But then if you go here, this is
And I understand there's gonna be some employee changes and different options, but I'm, from 50,000 to 140,000 or 174,000 is a huge difference.
I can give her the breakdown, but I'm not gonna have it tonight.
I know, but I'm showing you what she's looking at.
Okay. I can give you the breakdown. I don't have it.
So we talked about cutting, I think you may have a copy, I don't know if you brought it with you, but you have what we funded as far as general fund. And we have all those items listed, so I don't know if there's something there you wanna cut, we got the Veterans Day luncheon, the Spirit of Christmas, Osman and Truck, the 4th of July, a fogger, dispatcher to police officer, fencing, cylinders, fire response incentive, the vaccines that public works needs, and police deaths and our salary increase. All those items end up in 589, 439.
And lastly, sorry, 3%, did we get something that showed it, a step for the different percentages? I know we had asked for that, but I don't recall seeing
Yeah.
that.
We sent it out to all council.
I think it was this, this is what was sent out to council. Is that the one you're talking about?
Yes, I think that's the same thing as,
Yeah, I send it to,
mine only has the 3%,
That's how they want to do it.
or 2.
I send it to. Can you look it up and see?
I think it was July 30th, maybe.
You can continue while I look for it and see, because I know I've sent it.
Usually it was on July. I see the one with the difference added, the 1% and 3%.
Was they
Yes,
rented?
what they,
July the 30th.
While they're looking for that, just a quick question. Under unfunded general fund, it just says additional position costs. What does that mean?
Who are you looking at?
Under the unfunded page,
Okay,
it says additional position cost $1,500.
that's it's a benefit. It may be the car allowance or the cell phone, but it has to do with one or the other
Okay.
for the position. Being in planning, most likely it's gonna probably be a stipend for a cell phone.
Okay.
You did send it on the, July.
Because I know Sarah requested where it could be 0, 1, and 3, and you wanted to see the difference. I thought I sent it to everybody.
We wouldn't see it because it's BCC for us anyway, but July 30th
July
was, I
30th.
I
think.
do have that. I do have that.
What can you
Can
see?
you open yours?
Mhm.
I can't open nothing in here.
I had it open too.
She's gonna send it and I'm gonna open it up.
Is this for all employees or just added employees?
This should be covered.
Yeah, that's all employees.
So does it have a grand total?
Yeah, it's like 224,
That's the 224 here,
yes,
for the 3%.
yes.
Does it have a grand total for the 1? So I'm not finding the 274 on this.
I see it 224. And it's, for the 1%, it would be like 74, 55, 74.
Yeah.
Where did you see the 224 on this?
If you slide it to the left, it should be over, up under column, I don't know the column number, but it's outside of the, actual columns, the Excel columns.
Ms. Leslie, if you want to, July 30th, and then you'll see.
Go to column H and I.
July 30th. You sent it to me on July 30th.
Okay.
Check your email, Leslie.
Yeah, I think I was looking in the wrong place.
There you go, I just sent it to you.
Okay, I got it.
Well,
I got your name. I just got it. I think I needed to exit out and go back in. Yeah, this is what I.
Did you get it, Tony?
yeah, she got it.
We don't have a two. It has a one.
It has 1 and 3.
Another one.
That was the last one I received.
You know what, I think that was the only one, because when I originally requested, I asked for 0, 1, and 3%.
Which I did.
Yes, and that's the one you're looking at, so I think this probably is the only one that's floating out around for us.
But I think I added the, okay, let me see.
And this is
But there wasn't, no, I sent,
with the added positions?
this is
Okay.
the added positions. Yeah, because I think this one is, doesn't have the actual numbers of the, I think the one I sent you, we still had the 10% in the insurance. When did, because it was 7/31, right, when I sent it to you? And when did we update it? Oh, so we updated the insurance mid-August, so this will have, it's different numbers now,
It is.
right? Because, yeah,
Because I looked at 179, now it's 77, so it had something changed.
yeah, it was because of that. Okay, so- Yeah, because I had to update it because of the 10%. So this Oh, yeah, this is it. So this one was the original that I sent. And then this is the new with the new insurance.
I think I got that one, but
No, you
That's the
no,
one
you didn't
I
get
have.
this one. I went and updated. You have this one?
But I just sent you.
the original one I had.
No, I think you have, the last one is the one of July 30th, and that still didn't have the updated numbers for the insurance. Yeah. It's different.
Oh, yeah, it is different. I've never received this one.
Yeah, because I went and did update the numbers on here.
It's slightly different, not that much of a difference.
So on here it is, I guess, the 1%. And then the 3%.
And is that reflected here? Is that in
Yes.
this number?
Yes, so the numbers that are in the
3%.
budget is the 3%.
That's right.
Okay.
So 2%, which wasn't calculated on here, would be your 74, 532, 42 times 2.
Which one?
Where they have that.
Your 1% number,
1%.
your 1% number.
Yes,
If we were to calculate a 2% increase, it would just be that number doubled.
it would be my no adjustment, because it's my regular,
Mm-hmm.
times the 2%.
So when she's asking if you take that, 1% and times by 2, the 2%, would that be the number?
Yeah, but I think I would do it off of the, I think I would just do it off of the
number itself.
Additions are different numbers.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
exactly.
I would just do it off of the no adjustment and then do the 2%. So I could do the 1, the 2, and the 3, and then I could, you could see the difference.
You don't have the
But
actual.
yeah. And then, not only salaries change, also like TMRS changes, Social Security changes a little bit. So that's the reason why I added all this together, and I just didn't do it off of salaries only. Because the more money you make, the more you put into your TMRS, because it's 7%. So it's gonna change. So I think I didn't base it off of only salaries. I did it all across
The benefits.
the benefits, salary and benefits.
It sounds like that we are struggling because we can't flush out what does our proposed budget looks like at 1%, 2%, 3% pay raises. Is that right?
Yes.
Is that the struggle?
I'm not struggling.
So, well, some folks,
I'm trying to balance out our 152,000 shortfall with,
We have a shortfall anymore.
Did you,
But it's eating into that extra, it's eating into that
Yeah.
overage.
that's what I'm talking about. That's why it's a struggle.
We went through that part, and it's not a shortfall anymore. Will you please call it that, please?
you wanna look at this?
this is what you were on when I walked in.
Can you go over the, just, if you would, let's just go over the show.
So we don't need to rehash that. On the no new revenue rate, on the bottom column, from what I understand, if we were to accept the no new revenue rate, that was the column that was the 152,000 short.
Yes, so yes, because if you do from here to here, it's 152,000.
Okay,
Or when
that's what I'm looking at.
yes,
Okay, that 152,000, and then I'm looking at these salary increases. If we did a 2% versus the 3%, would that make up the difference? That's what I'm looking at.
but we also saved on insurance, 174,000.
But you said that was in this.
Yes, so yeah, we saved 140 in the general fund. Like I said, it's split between the general fund, the water, sewer, solid waste, and Dayton. We saved 140,000 from insurance money. So that can offset costs with giving our employees raises.
Would that give the employees raises and cover our unfunded?
What is the unfunded?
Which are funded. You got
Our-
several.
These,
No, 'cause the
Well,
unfunded-
we have 321,654. So you could possibly, if you said, hey, I wanna fund the building inspector for 100,000, or I wanna fund, I don't know, the mechanic for 94,000. You can do that, and this amount will decrease.
if we change the 3% to a 2%, we could do all of this. Correct?
But remember, the more you spend, also the more you have to keep in your reserve.
One has
So-
offset the other.
So the more you spend here, the more you have to keep in your reserve too. So not necessarily, I mean, yes, you could look at the unfunded and see which ones are very needed, but don't just go and like, oh, well, I'm gonna fund everything now, and then, I mean, I think the most important thing here is our employees. Those are the most important things here.
Let me ask something here, in regards to employees and trying to retain them. Because we spend approximately about $35,000 each time we have an employee that is to leave. $35,000, that has to do with us having to train someone, get them certified all over again. It's not an easy thing filling positions at all. It's very difficult, especially those positions of trade. It is very difficult to fill those positions. So if I have 4 people to leave, let's say they're disappointed, we're not getting raised. I know the county got 5%, so I'm gonna go to the county. I'm gonna go to somebody else, we got 6% in Mount Bellevue. So I have 4 people leave to go somewhere else. That's $140,000 I need to come up with right now. Or we have lost.
Nobody's happy with the county either, though.
I think they might get happy, they make more money.
That number may change too if you compare, your refineries to versus your city, your municipal, government, because we know that the refineries pay a lot more than your city, or your municipality, so.
That's also private industry.
But people are also leaving the city if they can go there and make more money. So we lose people to not just other cities, but other industries, like private
Absolutely.
sector.
And what I mean about the
And how do we
county,
retain them?
everybody I'm talking to is not happy about that 5%. I'm not talking about a work environment. I'm talking about a 5%. And it kind of stems from the same thing. We don't see where our money is. We don't see where our tax dollars are going.
When you say we, do you mean the county or the city?
Both.
That's everybody.
So, I'm confused. When you say we like the citizens of Dayton,
As a
or
taxpayer.
are the taxpayers? Okay, I just want to be clear so I understand. And I think it's a industry standard or in the municipality that counties are paid less, because I did my research, that most counties, positions are paid less than city positions. And so even with you guys getting a 5% increase, it still didn't bring you up to where, the local cities, like the city of Liberty just got their raises, and I think they make more than our people. And then, of course, we're nowhere close to Mount Bellevue, or even, you consider Porter and other entities that's in our surrounding areas. You guys are still under that, y'all are not even nowhere close to that, being county with the 5% raise. So I think we're comparing like apples to dump trucks, in my opinion, because it's not the same.
It's not. And you know, with 75% of our staff only being here 5 years, that says a lot. Especially in this time where we have infrastructure that's been in the ground, and I have new employees trying to find where utilities are at. If we continue to lose them, once we train them and they establish where they're at, then it's become a bigger problem for us.
I'm still a little taken by what is the conversation? Are we talking about pay raises? Is that the issue? Whether we want to give pay raises or not? Or is it?
Is it their tax? Which
What
one
is it?
Let me ask you real quick. I've been trying to be quiet. The no new revenue, that includes him getting a raise, right?
8%
Yes,
raise,
yes.
Okay.
yes.
That's what I'm trying to figure out. We
Yes.
didn't do nothing, no new revenue, they still get their raise.
Yes.
That's 3%.
But you take out a couple of employees that were,
No,
Ask for-
we're not taking anything up. Those employees who are already non-funded, unfunded.
Right.
So those, no, we don't mess with. Any new positions that we put in the original are still there.
but you did add potentially I think she's asking something about
The part-time person.
the part-time
We
community
haven't
center.
added anything.
No,
I didn't put
I
it
did,
Not added
but
in
if you guys decide on adding, I need to know so I can add it in
So you
there.
can add.
And then this will just.
That number will change.
Yeah,
15,000.
15,000.
Thing is, you gotta decide if you wanna go with the new revenue with the raises or whatever.
I do
That's
think
my
there's
point.
more room to cut.
So if that's the case, and I don't disagree with you, Sarah, here's the deal. If we're talking about not giving pay increases, 3%, 2%, 1%, 0%, whatever it works out to be. We need to see what that looks like in these numbers, because I can't make a decision one way or the other if I don't know what it looks like at 1%, 2%, 3%. Well, I know what it looks like at 3%, but not 2%, not 1%. If that's the dilemma, because that sounds like what the dilemma is. Whether we want to go forward with what's currently here.
It's 1% up or 1% down.
Exactly.
I have a question for Ms. Vickery. You said a couple of times that you feel like that there's still room to cut. What do you mean by that?
How much do we spend on, like banquet tables, galas, stuff like that for events? We buy tables, right? The city
We
buys
already
tables.
have tables in the community center.
I'm sorry?
Are you talking about when we go to special events?
Yes.
It depends on the event. For instance, like, Boots and Bullies, we probably spend $600 a table.
Okay. How many tables do you get?
One or two, depends on how many council members like to attend, and then from council, we ask the staff, depending on what we have left over. So normally, most times it's only one table.
Can we forego that for a year? All the tables?
Volunteers?
I have to step in on that. I would say no. I think it's a great support for the community.
Absolutely.
And I think if you
But
take
we
that
can
away,
pay
it's only
ourselves.
$600. I mean,
But multiply that over multiple tables.
But we don't.
And how
Yeah.
so how many events is it that we actually pay for
The
tables?
first response, luncheon, we probably do that. We do Boots and Bullets, we probably do CASA. Anything that we do a nonprofit. It's what we participate in.
I think we did what, like six events?
Does that
About
come
6
out of
events,
community
so we
relations?
came out about, we spent about
Does
$3,000,
that come out of community
$4,000.
relations?
Is that gonna make a major impact
it's
on?
not gonna make it, and think about it, you have one employee quit and then I rehired them for 3 months, you made up that money. So
Right.
it's kind of small money compared to a 3% raise or 2% or 1%. That's not small money, that's a big difference.
You're right, but a bunch of small things
I agree,
will
you could
equal
add.
something big.
But my thought, y'all wanna move forward, you're looking at the 64, where's your tax
Oh,
rate up
sorry.
there? That's 64.85, that's with a 3%. If you, no new revenue, if you wanna get that to 63 cents or 62, that's what you need to talk about. What does it take to get that? Cause that, obviously that's where you're going with it.
No, it's actually, I'm sorry, it's actually not. What I'm looking at is that bottom line. The 2.07 million,
Mhm.
it's eating into that overage. So
Right,
we're
right,
not
overage.
putting away as much as we could.
That's not overage, that's surplus.
That's surplus.
Right, that's what I mean. That's over what we need to pay the
Yes,
bills.
yes.
And it's just eating into that. So that money we could do roads with the $2 million.
Oh, yes, I agree with that.
We could do water, sewer.
Right now, we're trying to,
Can we allot that full 2 million?
And what is the
Yeah,
outcome if we do allow that
Okay,
full 2
so if
million?
we do the full 2 million, you have to think about the unexpected, that you do not know what may occur. That's the only reason why I would say do not do the full amount, because we're not for sure what may happen.
I think we went through that last year. We had, we talked about in the budget the unknowns. And as soon as we, voted on our budget, we approved our budget, we had a major unknown event that tapped into, some of that money. And it kind of almost, I think, if my memory serves me correct, it almost ate all of that up. You can correct me if I'm wrong. So rather than use up all of that 2 million, yes, we have that, but you also want to have a safe haven, some kind of cushion. And I'm like, John, what does that look like? Where do you suggest that?
Don't we have
pull
that
from?
already? Don't we have like
Maybe
a
I'm
cash fund?
confused.
Yes,
Maybe
yeah,
Use the 2 million versus bring it
Got
down.
to prove it, but
And then we
it
also
has
have
to-
bonds.
Let me
There's
say,
unspent bonds.
no, the bonds are being spent. Let's get that clear. I'm glad you brought that up.
Everything's spent?
It's getting spent. It's not that it's just sitting there not being spent. Every project that we got on here is either complete or is in some form of working order. So don't use those funds because they've already been allocated.
Right, but there's money in there for the
Here,
roads, right?
That's not roads, there's money in there, remember. Council made a decision after we explained, we're not gonna do the roads until we fix the infrastructure underneath. So we've been fixing the infrastructure underneath. I think we had like 107,000 left after we did the, infrastructure on some roads. Not that much, about 80, 180. So
That's
we've
a
been
23
doing,
budget.
we've been doing projects. Murphy, what is the subdivision you just had to go in and fix the road? Was it Hillcrest?
No, yes.
It was
No,
Hill-
not
You're
here.
working on that.
What was it?
Lenny Creek.
In Lenny Creek. Was it because it fell sewer lines?
No, just, poor base material, no base underneath it.
And see, that's the
They did a
unexpected.
bad job. And back in the back of that neighborhood, it's like driving in the country. You throw rocks at people behind you.
You did a bad job on it.
I wanted to.
No,
clarify.
that was, no, I believe that was done by someone else because my road was messed up as well. So no, that was, I'm not throwing Murphy under the bus for this. It wasn't the city. It was someone else, but the city paid for it and I don't think they should have because they didn't do a good job. I would have not
Thank
paid
you
for
for
that.
clarifying that. Thank you.
I want to go back to something that was said a while ago because I'm a little bit confused. When we talked about the $2 million, and she said something about wanting to use it all or whatever, we have something for the unknowns. That's why we keep a 6-month reserve. Is that not correct?
Yes.
So that's our cushion. We could I'm just spitballing here. We could conceivably use the entire $2 million, and in the event of an emergency or in the event of a disaster, we have the cushion of the
6-month reserve.
of the
Okay.
6-month reserve. Sorry, my brain
Clarify
is
that.
racing.
Yes, you could,
You don't want to.
but you can use it if needed, but then we just have to replace it. So let's say hurricane came, we don't have the money, we're waiting on FEMA, yes, we would come to council and say, hey, we're not gonna be meeting our reserve. Just wanted to let you know we're not meeting our reserve because we have to do this. But it would have to be brought to council if we're not meeting our reserve.
And we're gonna have
It's
to
in our
replenish
charter that
that
we
money.
have to, we have to put it back in, but yeah, it is. We could use it.
So we can use it and still have our 6-month reserve.
No, he said we can use the 6-month reserve. If we use it for emergency,
Yes, for
No, yeah,
emergency.
what I'm saying is if we use the whole $2 million on capital projects, if we have an emergency, then we
Yes.
have
We
the
still-
we
Yes,
have
we
the
would have
6-month reserve,
Yes, we would have to.
but we would have to just replenish it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And then if let's say worst case scenario, something major happens and we do agree on using the overage of it, if we go with the no new tax rate, we utilize that almost 1 million. We still have the 6 months. What happens if we have a major event and we use that, then where would that money come from? We have to come back and look at the complete budget to find out where we would, replace the reserve.
we have to wait
Oh,
to get more revenue.
Yeah, we would have to wait for the revenue.
We have to get more revenue, so that's gonna affect our next year's budget. Cause you're gonna always got to keep that reserve, so we spend it, then you're gonna be taking that revenue for next year, anything we get and putting it back in that reserve.
So I guess, just, again, the $2 million, what would you be comfortable using out of that for capital projects?
Probably
this
1
point.
million.
Not all of it, but
You know, about
Yeah,
half of
probably
it.
1
Yeah,
million.
1 million.
About 1 million.
okay.
So about half.
Yeah,
That's what
I would,
That keeps you in your comfort zone.
right.
I like it. How many feet of road does that get us?
Oh.
Like
Not a whole lot, trust me.
With the piping.
Hey,
that has to be replaced.
Sarah, I'm gonna tell you something. It won't get us too far, especially I got to find the right contractor to make sure they do it right. So I spend a little bit more money.
Send them to me. Well, and you know, you're saying that, and it's kind of funny, but it's not funny because it was wasted money. Because that was done in what, Q1 of 19, I believe. It has not lasted. It's terrible.
Going with the lowest bidder.
Yeah, well,
Which is why you should,
sometimes that happens,
which is why we
but
need to do a better job of vetting the contractors that are awarded this work. And always the lowest price is not always the best price. Cause you get what you pay for.
So I guess to kind of sum up what Harry was asking
hang on, Mark.
before,
Hang on just-
So ballpark, just list the 20 some odd roads, 22 roads that we had talked about. Ballpark, if you got all 20 of them, it's 1.3 million.
All 20 of them is 1.3?
Is that with the
22.
infrastructure underneath?
Is that,
Yes.
is that including the unknowns?
No, I mean, these are ballpark numbers.
Okay.
These are ballpark numbers. So,
Is it like
Just
tile
the
and you
road?
add 10%?
ma'am,
Is it like tile and you add like 10%? Or like how, you know what I mean? How do you kind of gauge?
Unknowns, you can't put a percentage on an unknown because you don't know what the infrastructure is gonna look like
some of
when you
these
go down
roads,
there.
some of these roads still have sewer issues, so if we've done the sewer, if we've done the sewer and the streets, you're at about 2.1 million.
So that
That's
means
what I
we
was
use
gonna
up,
ask.
so that means that,
If it was just the roads or if it was the lines under the roads.
1.3 is just the road.
that's just putting, lipstick on a pig, right? It looks good, it's not gonna fix the roads, right?
We may go back next week and cut it up.
Exactly.
so
And
Murphy.
redos cost more.
What if we used a word of caution or word of wisdom and said instead of 20 roads, let's focus on the top 10?
I would suggest that because I do have some.
Could we
I had something go out
conceivably,
at the sewer plant this week, and I may be coming to see you for $100
Yes.
grand.
Thank you for bringing that up.
so
Thank you.
So
we could conceivably do
And
the road and the utilities underneath the road of 10 roads
That's correct.
for what that was costing.
yes,
so about 1.1 million if we do capital?
again, we have to.
Because we don't know what the unknowns are.
That's not a decision we have to make tonight on that.
Yeah.
No.
That can be done in 5 months from now.
Yeah.
That's fine.
My thought is, do we,
If we can't do it right
One,
now,
two,
we
three.
need to whether we
No.
can do it.
The RPs, it takes time.
Yeah. Won't be tomorrow.
And I don't think we're, John, I don't think we're making a motion to do anything tonight.
no, I
No,
know,
it's
I'm just saying.
But it would help, I know you're not taking any action, but it would help, so staff would have a clear direction when we leave here. So when we come back, council is able to vote on it. I think with everyone here, we need a direction with everyone together. Not one person wanting to go this direction, the next person going this direction, everybody sending different emails and texts. You are here together. So if you can come together and make sure staff is gonna go home and go in the right direction, it's better if you talk about it. And someone will say, I think I heard this. Because right now, I'm not clear. I hear about 4 different scenarios going on right now.
That's
I
my
agree
point.
with you, Kimberly. Not everyone is copied on these emails, so some of the council get left out on some communication. So I think that we do need to come to some type of agreement and we're all on the same sheet of music.
Yeah.
No new tax rate and no pay raises. Let me see what that looks like. Is that clear enough?
That's clear.
I would like to see what it looks like to have the no new revenue rate and a 2% increase.
Okay. So what we would do, staff would put both of them together and send it out to council. Okay?
I'll just go ahead and echo what they're saying, ask what everybody else was thinking. I would like to see it at 1%. And just have a comparison.
So that's the 3
Why
categories.
even do
Right, right, and no new revenue rate
Why even do the 1%?
at 1%.
We always like, why even do the 1%? Please, just say 2% or 3.
All right, anybody have any more questions or
Okay, I have a
anything else?
question. The PD is on a pay scale of 3%, so it's not gonna work a step. It's not gonna work 1 or 2. They would have to do the 3 or nothing.
Yeah.
What do you want?
I think, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that we are looking at carving out the PD previously agreed to step program and leaving them as they are and addressing everything else in one time.
Okay, but this
When was that
happened,
discussed?
hold on, it may have been discussed, but no action has been taken, and right now there's already been an action taken and approved by city council. So until city council take action, it is in force. You have to take action to redo that.
We have to take action to carve them out.
Chief, is everybody on
That's
that pay
correct.
scale from the bottom to you?
Yes, so everybody, when we adopted it in 2022, July of 2022, it was a built-in 3% step. So in order for that to not go into effect, you would have to, as a council, vote to pause it,
Right.
halt it, do away with it, whatever.
I think when we did the COLA last year, it kind of messed up one of them that was already at the top of their pay scale, from what I understand.
We just dropped our bottom number down to 0,
Okay.
and adjusted the step. It was 1 through 10, and we just dropped it down to 0 because we had some people hiring on, and they didn't get the COLA.
Right.
We should have called it a step
That's a
last year,
step,
but we
yeah.
called it a COLA. So,
I have one other suggestion that I would like to see on the numbers. The education and training and travel and meals, I would like to see those remain the same and not be increased.
I like that.
for all departments?
Yes. Education and training and travel and meals across all departments.
And Leslie, can I just follow up with something we talked about a couple of weeks ago, or I don't know how long ago it was? Moving the old school museum electricity to the hotel, the hot money fund.
Yeah, it's already there.
That was good? You were able to do that?
The electricity?
Yes.
Oh, no, I need to look. It was, I'll follow up on that.
Thank you.
Tanya, can I clarify what you asked? That, you wanted to do it on a 1, 2, and 3%, remove the education and training and travel and meal, keep it the same on all 3.
I'm talking about in the different departments where
Yes. I understand I know every department, what I'm asking, you want us to reflect that in each 3 scenario?
Right, she wanted to know.
Oh,
No.
Okay.
No, what I would like to see is no increase across the departments in those
I like
categories.
that, yes. It
Yes.
showed that way in all 3 proposals.
Yes,
Okay, that's what.
yes.
I actually decreased mine. Do I get to go back and keep
Gary.
it the same?
You know what, you just been messing.
You know what?
I was kidding. Trying to bring a little humor.
But Kim,
Nice
does
try.
that, Leslie, Kim, does that make sense? So that we can get somewhere with this, we can get this done, if we do it that way, so everybody know what's going on.
Okay, so this helped because when we come back together, council, you can vote on 1, 2,
All
or 3,
three.
whatever you want.
Exactly.
So we have it ready for you and you make that final decision.
One more thing.
Uh-oh,
So that
no.
no new revenue, if that 1% affects the no new revenue, right? Because you got just 3% raises in that no new revenue.
Yes.
So if you did a 1%, it's not gonna be that same 64.8.
No, it is. No, that's.
No, the tax rate can stay the
The
same.
tax
They
rate
say,
is the same.
because since you're not giving as much, well, I guess you take it out of the bottom. Take it out of the bottom, never mind, yeah, you're right.
Okay, something else I would like to see on the unfunded,
Yes.
I would like to see the building inspector added and the part-time community center employee added.
Can we do a part-time, permit?
We can, but I really prefer we do it full time. If I don't have a choice, then we don't have a choice, but I'd rather do a full time.
Do our numbers dictate 2 full-time people?
But we make that determination when we drop these raises, huh?
No.
I think, especially with the new developments that we have working, I think we need this.
And that's my
We do.
question, like, what are we looking at that's gonna justify adding this whole new position?
Revenue coming in, hopefully additional revenue. Building permits coming in, because all the different new builders that's here.
And I
So-
want to see our timeline for getting these permits.
Extend.
Yes,
You wanna
I
shorten
don't
that.
disagree with
all
that.
right.
So is revenue coming in a factor in determining whether or not that position gets added?
Well, it make a determination in needing one, because we know the development is here. You look down 1960, you see how far they have gotten on this development there. The one that's gonna be on Highway 90, the meetings that we had with them, there's another one right across the street, Freedom Trail. So we know it's time. Like I said, we only got one inspector, and what she's doing is she's already having to go from one part of town to another part of town, just driving all over the place. So it's already a need.
Sure, I understand
Yeah.
that, but my thinking is that if we can do that and it's a revenue issue, we're bringing in money, we can give the community center another position because we're going to end up generating revenue. Because
Well,
they have
I
more
think
people
we
to
need
turn
to
over
wait and
rooms.
see what all we got. I really do. And I really ask that council would trust me in my judgment on this. Because I've seen what has been taking place, and I know what we can do.
With what we can do or what we can't do.
What we can do, what we can do with the amount of staff plus adding a part-time person in the community center.
And I trust that being that you are the city manager and you over the staff, you kind of, I'm gonna follow your direction on that, versus us just making a decision. But I believe that we should put bodies where they're necessary and where there's some income that's gonna, or revenue that's gonna come back, to the city.
Does that give you clear direction?
Yes, ma'am, it does. Thank you. Is there anything else?
Motion to adjourn?
Just one quick question. Under unfunded water sewer, we seem to be pulling a lot of money out of that, but we're leaving some in there as well. How close are we on the 170 to replace the dump truck there?
How much is the dump truck?
178,
178.
875.
Yeah. And the manhole relines, I know that we're going out for a grant for that. Would this be the addition to that grant?
Yes, that's different. That's not what we have the grant for.
Okay.
Different part.
So what does the manhole relines, what does that accomplish? I'm just curious.
To stop infiltration from going in. Us
Okay.
getting too much rainwater in, so then it make our wastewater treatment facility rise.
Okay.
Okay, Mayor, what did you say you wanted to add? Replace it with dump truck?
The dump truck and the manhole relines. All right, anybody have any other questions? Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
I have a motion to adjourn with a second. We're adjourned.
you.